starting over after 40. Does it sometimes feel like you're climbing a mountain with a backpack full of invisible weight? Maybe you've changed careers. Maybe your business didn't survive. Maybe your marriage ended, or your health forced you to slow down. Whatever the reason, here you are, beginning again at a stage of life where you thought things would already be settled. And that can be unsettling. When you're in your 20s, starting over feels normal. In your 30s, it feels ambitious. But after 40, starting again can feel like you're behind, like you miss a step somewhere. You might smile in public, but privately you're asking yourself, why am I here again? Why does this feel harder than it should? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know something important. Starting again after 40 is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that life is still moving, and so are you. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. It's not always the obvious obstacles that stop your progress. It's the hidden traps, the subtle habits and thought patterns that quietly drain your energy and kill your momentum. In this conversation, we're going to uncover 5 of those hidden traps so you can recognize them early and step around them. Because when you see them clearly, they lose their power. Let's begin with the first trap, and it's more common than you think. The first hidden trap is trying to rebuild your life with the same mindset that led to your setback. After failure or major change, many people tell themselves, I just need to work harder this time. They double their effort. They push longer hours. They refuse to rest. They try to prove that they still have it. But here's the question. What if the problem wasn't effort? What if the problem was the mindset underneath it? Maybe before, you were driven by the need to impress others. Maybe you avoided asking for help because you wanted to look strong. Maybe you said yes to everything because you were afraid of disappointing people. If you rebuild with the same habits, you risk recreating the same outcome. At 25, pure hustle might have worked. At 45, it can burn you out. I once spoke with a man who lost his small manufacturing business at 47. His first instinct was to launch something new immediately, working even longer hours than before. But after a few months, he realized he was repeating the same pattern. No delegation, no boundaries, no strategic planning. When he paused and adjusted his approach, building a team, setting clear priorities, and protecting his time, his next venture grew steadily instead of chaotically. Starting again after 40 requires wisdom, not just energy. It asks you to rebuild smarter, not just harder. The second hidden trap is constant comparison. This one is especially painful at this stage of life. You look around and see people your age who seem stable, successful, settled. You scroll through social media and see promotions, vacations, family celebrations. And there you are, updating your resume or figuring out how to restructure your finances. Comparison at 45 feels heavier than comparison at 25 because you feel like time matters more. You might think, I don't have 10 years to experiment. But comparison is deceptive. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their debt. You don't see their anxiety. You don't see the compromises they made. And when you compare, you rush. You take opportunities that don't align. You accept roles that drain you. You chase something just to feel caught up. Instead of asking, how do I measure up? Try asking, what direction is right for me now? Your timeline is not late. It's personal. The third hidden trap is carrying silent shame. After 40, people rarely talk openly about setbacks. There's this unspoken belief that by now, you should have everything figured out. So when things fall apart, many people suffer quietly. You might avoid old colleagues because you're embarrassed. You might downplay your situation, even to close friends. You might replay mistakes in your head at night, questioning your judgment over and over. Shame has a quiet but powerful effect. It makes you play small. It makes you hesitate before applying for better roles. It makes you underprice your skills. It makes you shrink your voice. But shrinking will not rebuild your life. You cannot step confidently into a new chapter while secretly believing you deserve less. Instead of hiding, try reframing. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I experienced something difficult and I'm learning from it. Speak your story with honesty, not apology. When you remove shame, you free up energy, and that energy is what fuels progress. As we continue, there are deeper traps that often appear once you start moving again, patterns that feel safe but quietly hold you back. Let's talk about those next. Once you recognize how mindset, comparison, and shame can slow you down, there's another trap that often appears quietly, especially after 40. It's the trap of trying to do everything alone. Many of us were raised to believe that strength means independence. Handle your problems. Don't burden others. Figure it out yourself. And while that mindset can build resilience, it can also isolate you. Starting again is emotionally demanding. It challenges your confidence, your finances, sometimes even your relationships. Trying to carry all of that alone is exhausting. I remember a woman in her early 50s who decided to switch careers after being laid off. She spent months researching and applying on her own, refusing to tell anyone she was struggling. She didn't want to appear weak. Eventually, a friend found out and connected her to a professional network in her desired field. Within weeks, she had more clarity and support than she had gained in 6 months alone. There is no medal for silent suffering. Seeking support doesn't mean you're incapable. It means you're wise enough to understand that growth accelerates when you're not isolated. A mentor, a peer group, a coach, or even honest conversations with trusted friends can shift your perspective dramatically. Another hidden trap is underestimating the power of small daily discipline. After a setback, people often swing between extremes. Either they feel overwhelmed and procrastinate, or they go into overdrive, trying to fix everything at once. Neither extreme works long term. Real progress after 40 is rarely dramatic. It's consistent. It's waking up at the time you said you would. It's exercising 3 times a week even when motivation is low. It's sending 1 email each day instead of trying to network with 50 people in a weekend. It's reviewing your finances calmly instead of avoiding them. Small actions rebuild structure. Structure rebuilds confidence. A man I once worked with started over financially at 46. Instead of trying to make a massive comeback investment, he focused on disciplined savings and skill improvement. It felt slow at first, but within 3 years, he was in a stronger position than he had ever been. Not because of big risk, but because of steady habits. There's another trap that often hides beneath all of this: fear of failing again. This fear can be paralyzing. You might think, what if I try and it collapses again? So you delay decisions. You avoid opportunities. You stay in your comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Avoiding risk does not guarantee safety. It often guarantees stagnation. Courage after 40 doesn't mean reckless decisions. It means thoughtful action despite fear. It means evaluating carefully, learning from past mistakes, and moving forward anyway. Fear is natural. Letting fear decide your future is optional. As you continue rebuilding, you might start to notice something powerful. The very experiences that once embarrassed you are becoming your greatest teachers. And that realization opens a door to the final shift that truly transforms your progress. At some point in this journey, something subtle changes inside you. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can this experience build in me? That shift is where real reinvention begins. After 40, you have an advantage you didn't have at 25. You have perspective. You have pattern recognition. You have emotional depth. The setback you experienced may have shaken you, but it also stripped away illusions. One of the most powerful ways to avoid staying stuck is to shift your focus from proving yourself to improving yourself. Earlier in life, much of our drive comes from wanting to prove something, to parents, to peers, to society. But starting again after 40 is different. It's less about proving and more about aligning. Ask yourself honestly, what kind of life do I want now? What pace feels sustainable? What values matter most? When you rebuild based on alignment instead of ego, your progress feels steadier and more meaningful. Another important shift is practicing patience with yourself. We live in a world that celebrates quick comebacks, but real, lasting reinvention is often quiet. It takes months, sometimes years, and that's not failure. That's growth. Progress might look like better emotional stability, healthier boundaries, smarter decisions, gradual financial recovery. These changes may not be flashy, but they are powerful. Remember, Even the smallest changes today can make a huge difference in your future. One improved habit, one brave conversation, one decision not to give up. If you're over 40 and starting again, I want you to know this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not defined by your worst chapter. You are defined by your willingness to continue. If this message resonates with you, share in the comments what you're rebuilding right now. A career, your health, your finances, your confidence. Your story can inspire someone else who feels alone in their restart. And if this conversation gave you clarity or encouragement, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This space is for honest discussions about growth, resilience, and building a meaningful life after 40. Starting again is not a setback. It's a second chance to build with wisdom. Wishing you strength, patience, and courage as you move forward. Keep going. Your next chapter is still being written.